we're in. We've begun.
We're
We've
in.
only just begun. Okay. I am going to get started. Hi, everybody. We're going to draw some card art today for the Homeland expansion. I'm here. Patrick Leader is here for color commentary, derailing conversations, as he likes to do. What else would you say
Me?
your expert your expertise is? What else would you say?
I run game companies.
Oh, okay.
Game company, I guess.
I guess.
Mm-mm.
Okay. And now I have the chat up. Cool.
Uh, Twitch just informed me that Leader Games Media is streaming while
Yep.
I'm watching it.
We're doing it. Okay. What we are going to do today is try and take a card from the prompt slash concept slash art order and take it all the way to ready to put on a card. So what I'm looking at here is Josh, who's designing the new deck that comes with the Kickstarter. Has a couple cards for me, and so I'm going to look, and the one I think we're going to work on is called Messenger Bats. So the power for this card says, draw a card, and evening before discarding, return this to your hand. So what we're going to do, since this is a bird card, is I'm thinking about what would communicate this idea. And so I think we're going to have kind of a bird passing off something to a bat, like almost like a relay race, but in the sky. So we'll see if we can make that happen. We got. Pardon if there's any background noises that are interesting. We've been doing some home renovation stuff, and I think it's rainy enough today that we haven't had a lot of air compressor noises, but that has been kind of par for the course for the last little bit, too.
I also think I saw a small walk by just a moment ago.
Yeah, there she goes. Okay, so let's do this. I gotta make sure I'm in the frame. So what I'm gonna do is draw a burb. That's kind of passing the torch here, or passing a scroll or something of some kind. There aren't very many birds in Root that are drawn head on. Most of them are drawn from the side because it's just easier to get an idea of what a bird looks like from the side. I think the ambush bird, maybe the Root RPG, there's a woodpecker that is kind of from the front or from the top. That's what we're working with.
How have you been, Kyle?
How have I been? Just busy.
Yeah.
Good, but busy.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I was out in the dark with a headlamp, finishing putting a gate
Perfect.
on a chicken run that I've been working on for a little bit. It's one of those things where I'm so close to the end of a project, so I'm like, I'm finishing it. I don't care if it's raining and dark. And then it literally was raining and dark, and I'm like screwing hinge pieces into a piece of pressure treated wood. But now my chickens have a bigger place to be than just their coop, so they're not so cooped up.
Cooped up.
And then I went out today to be like, look how much room you have, chickens, but it's still been raining a little bit, and so they're like, nah, we'll stay in here. So
They'll stand in the corner.
they're not that appreciative yet. I'm sure they will be.
Yeah.
A little bit later, but so we've just been busy. My kids have youth sports things that we're trying to schedule around, baseball tryouts and basketball season stuff, and we're done with flag football for the season, which is nice. I was coaching the team, so that's kind of a big after work, after school commitment that I don't have to worry about for a little bit, but it's just been a lot of stuff going on. But we're good. Meredith, my wife, just started a new job a few weeks ago, and we are kind of relearning how to do the ships passing in the night parenting style where
Mm-hmm.
where when she's gone, I'm in charge, and when she's back, she needs to be able to sleep. And so we're
Mm-hmm.
just doing a lot of figuring out, like, oh, we got to do dishes this time. Who's driving kids to school when? All that kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. But we've done it before. We've done it for a decade, but it's just a little bit of a change. And it's a different hospital than she's worked for in the past. My wife is a nurse, and so that's been a little bit interesting learning curve also. What's up with you, Patrick?
Uh, I've been wheeling and dealing. Can't talk about that much, right? Um,
Renee, helping
well,
with
I'll
some
tell you, and
Kickstarter.
these 87 friends of mine, I have a meeting about the movie. I have a movie about the. I have a meeting about the movie tomorrow. Uh, let's see what that gets us.
Okay.
Um, and I've been working on this game called Opus for shoot, almost a year. But I think I've landed on a design I like, but I want to add some more features in the. We're finally hitting the like. It's like the right level of interaction and cleverness have kind of crept into the design that we've been looking for,
Hmm.
and now I'm like afraid to make changes, which is silly because I've done this before, and it just took so long to get to this point that I'm like I don't wanna break it again.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, it's
but it's all good.
all good. Sorry, I just saw that we had some questions in the chat. Somebody asked,
Mm,
"Are these just fun doodles, or are these for the game?" These are for the game. These will be hopefully for a card that is in the new deck. I think a lot of, I mean, justifiably, but a lot of emphasis is being put on the Homeland expansion, that we're including 3 factions and two new map surfaces, and I think all that is great. But I think people are kind of sleeping on the fact that adding a new deck to Root is like one of the best values for your money that we offer, which is like the most art pieces in one spot, and probably some of the most design work go into a deck. And then, like, that's the thing that we offer for not very much at all. And the fact that there's going to be a third one is a pretty cool proposition. And I'm stoked to be able to play around in this world a little bit more and do some art for it. There were a couple frogs and bats and skunks in the Root RPG art already, but it's been fun to explore those even more.
even more. So somebody also asked, is this messenger bats or birds?
So
I
this is
can
the
do this one.
yeah. You say it.
It's passing. The bird is passing a message off to the messenger bat mid-air.
Yep.
But
So
it's gonna be there's a bird on it because it's the motif with the because it's a blue card.
yeah, and because it's a bird card. Yep. So it's
Hmm.
a wild. So messenger bats, but denizen wise, it's birds that make that happen, which I like. They both fly. We can make that work. Okay. So we will
All right.
take it from
Have
there.
you based this bat off of any species of bat?
Um, any specific species of bat? No, and maybe I should get more into different bat variations. The most important thing to me from a cartoon standpoint is, like, I need them to not look like pigs, and I need them to not look like rabbits, and so making sure that their, like, ear shape and face shape are pretty distinct from some of uh, the animals we've already incorporated was pretty important. Um,
I'm gonna type it into chat. I'm not gonna attempt to pronounce this word. I'm putting in uh people that study bats.
the other
Okay.
consideration is that there are lots
I,
of bats that are black and gray, and I wanted to make sure I found some brown. I almost said flavored. Some brown flavored bats, because I knew that was going to be the meatball color, and have that harken back to it.
This is exciting. Do you want to know what the grouping name is for bats?
Yes.
Well, this is right. Now I'm worried that Google's hallucinating all the time. Collective noun on Wikipedia it says camp, cloud, colony, or flock.
When we were in Austin for South by Southwest, our hotel was right next to the bridge where
Yeah.
all the bats go crazy. And I mean, I don't think it was the time of the year when that happened, but there were signs everywhere like, "Hey, come check this out." But apologies if the eraser
All
is
right.
just making everything wobble around a ton. I am on a folding table because my desk is under construction. My office is under construction in a different part of the house.
We should have flown you in.
Yeah,
All right.
right. Oh,
Because I'm sure Meredith would appreciate
nothing
you
has
being
anything
gone
going
so
on.
much. Yeah. Ever thought about doing a root tarot deck? The designs would be gorgeous for that.
Um,
You can't see me, but I'm shrugging.
you're shrugging. I think doing
Yeah.
something like a root, like set of 52 face cards, um, would make more sense for the kind of, because I don't know a lot of games that use tarot. Like I know games that use tarot-sized cards, but not like the actual like the tarot deck. Also, I make fun of astrology sometimes, and I feel like people would drag that back up from my Twitter and be like, "Don't buy his tarot." Um, so maybe not, but maybe face cards or something. If we decided what that would look like as a product.
Um, you can maybe we can get some Belatro cards.
Oh yeah.
All right. So clearly we're getting a chicken vagabond. I don't know if that's true. Your art and games bring so much joy.
I really don't know what the schedule release is for when we can say what vagabonds we're working on.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't even know what that is yet. Yeah.
I have one drawn
I
up
know
that I could kind of
I
spoil.
suggested one.
That's the great thing
All
about
right.
being the deciders in the company is that we still don't know what we're allowed to say sometimes.
Yeah. Can you show the root color palette?
Yeah, I will bust it out when I get this
When it's coloring time.
scanned. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have it all ready to go. So I'm drawing this with a little bit thicker pen than I normally do, and I'm drawing it a little bigger than I normally do, just so it would show up better on the camera. But those two...
Batmaster Elite said friends of Jimbo times root. that's a Blanche reference. Are there any weapons you like to draw?
Swords. There's a joke I made a while ago about how I remember every sword I've ever drawn. And one of a guy who works in the games industry, who I knew from growing up. They was my next door neighbor. They make a lot of like wood products, and he made me a sword that I drew from root. He made the let's see, he made the Marquise's sword, and showed it to me, and he was like, he made it out of wood, and it had like little plastic rubies in the hilt and stuff, and I was like, "Oh, it's the Marquise's sword." And he's like, "Wow, I'm surprised you remember that." I'm like, "I remember every sword."
You're like,
I
yeah,
wouldn't forget.
how can
The other
how can
great
I
thing,
not?
yeah, the other great thing is that he made it to scale with like the plushies, so like I could actually put it with our cat plushie. that we
Aw,
did. But
I
let's
think
see
I
if we
forgot.
can find.
Did you show me that? I think I forgot that.
Well, if I find it when I get my desk back to where it's supposed to be, I will show it to
Agreed.
you. happily. I'm going to try and find a different pen that is not as... This one's drying up a little bit. There we go. That makes me happier.
What's your favorite shield shape?
Kite.
Kite.
Targe. I don't know. It's I when
Use
I
them
learned,
all. I think I've seen all of them.
yeah, I when I learned how big like a gladiator like buckler shield was as a kid, I
Hmm.
remember being like mad. It's like it's that small. It's just like a little teeny shield. So I think my internal predisposition is like if I could have any shield, tower shield. Uh, but I understand the utility of different sizes and shapes for
Yeah, I
different things.
suppose you'd want something light for gladiatorial combat because you're fighting a lot longer than you'd actually be fighting on the battlefield.
And it's hot, and you can't fit
You
a
gotta
smaller
rest.
shield
Yeah.
in a tiger's mouth. There's all sorts of
Yeah.
considerations to make.
There's all sorts of practical considerations.
Uh
Mm-mm.
huh.
I was surprised to learn that recently. In medieval combat, the knights would frequently the shield you had that you'd be drawn with on a post on a tapestry or something was like the heraldry one. But like when you actually went to fight a battle, you just bring any old thing, and
Yeah,
then
because
uh,
they were like
they would
disposable.
go through three or four. Yeah, they were
Yeah,
considered disposable. Yeah,
because if you had a nice
I mean
shield
not
and
disposable
somebody
in the
hit,
modern sense. You wouldn't go,
yeah, but if you had a nice shield and someone stuck an axe in it, you'd be like, oh, my good shield. But if you have a disposable shield and you're fighting someone and their axe gets stuck in it, you're like, woohoo. This is the ideal situation because now I have their weapon
and I'm not dead.
and I'm
Mm-mm.
not dead.
Yeah. Question for you both. What is your favorite underrated Kyle art piece? I was just looking at the art show the other day because it's still posted.
Mm-hmm. That we did. How many years ago was that?
I believe it was 2018.
Yeah, when I did the art
Well, what
show.
is it then?
What's my favorite thing of me that I've drawn
Yeah.
that's underrated?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna cheat and look in my random doodles folder on my phone on my computer.
Mm.
Um, I don't know. There's a lot of things that I think are funny that probably go a little bit. Here, this is gonna be my choice. So when I'm gonna turn off my phone camera for 1 second. This is my choice when I was watching a lot of Player Unknown Battlegrounds when the guys at
Mm.
Polygon were playing it. There were just some moments that I thought were really funny, and one of them was I think Justin McElroy sitting on the back of a motorcycle, and then he was playing a guitar in real life and singing on stream while someone else, I think Griffin McElroy was driving the the motorcycle like in a full ghillie suit, and something about that just was very funny to me. So I did little pieces of fan art of all the PUBG stuff,
Because it's funny.
and I'd post it, and people would be like, "We don't even know what this is." Like, yeah, too niche. But I mean, and it's like, what? You didn't think this one moment from like a 2 hour stream was worth doing fan art of, you know? But it's like this is kind of for
Yeah.
me type art. So things like that, I still really enjoy. I'm trying to think if I have any other PUBG things that I've drawn, but
I'm just looking at your art online.
I'm gonna make sure my camera is back on. Here we go. Da, 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 da. I think I have one other PUBG thing that I've drawn. Let me look real quick.
Well, you did those characters that I use for Castle Blood.
Yes, but I also
Yeah.
did. I also did this. 1 sec. So this is also a PUBG thing that I drew. because I thought it was funny that people could like customize their characters and make them look however they wanted to, but like it was essentially pointless because by the end of every round, at least when the game started out, by the end of every round, everyone was wearing army helmet, big coat, and backpack,
Right.
and so it was just like this was the PUBG look. But anyway, so those are some of my underappreciated things that I still really like. I don't know if that answers the question, but
I like your bird people
the pre-root bird
from
people.
your shop.
Mm,
No, just the generic, like the not the generic, but the you did like a troubadour and
mm-hmm.
an old wizard owl. There was also a card that I got from Oath called Pie Maker. I liked a lot.
There was also a card from Root that let me see if I can find it. Uh, it was a
Fishing kitties.
no, yeah, fish and kitties. I think that's one of my more appreciated things that I've drawn though.
Yeah, that's true.
Um,
That's not underrated.
uh, every now and then I'll get like a blast of. Okay, here's another thing. So I drew this for Root. It was a bird card for the extended deck that was called like I don't even know how you pronounce it. Erie
Yeah,
Emigre. Uh,
sure.
but
We'll go
but
with that.
this is one of the few times that like I think I just missed the mark on what the card meant or like was supposed to do, and so I ended up redrawing it. And I really like the redraw that we did. We ended up using that redrawn bird as like the Root Digital uh, Erie skin. But I just remember posting this picture and Nick Brockman in the Slack just being like, "F your apples." and, and so every time I see this picture, I think that in my head, and it makes me chuckle. So that's another one that I don't think we've printed on anything, but there you go, the bird tipping over a squirrel's apples.
That monster.
Horrible
Uh,
behavior.
so if you had to do a crossover with Root, but it could be anything, what would you pick? I don't,
Hmm.
I don't. I just feel like it's its own thing. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, if we wanted to sort of like take root in like a different direction, we have talked multiple times about doing like a kart game, like a Mario Kart or like Crash
Mm-hmm.
Bandicoot Team Racing style thing where it's
Mm-hmm.
root characters or like creatures that represent the factions. And I think something like that would be silly and fun.
Still have to do that in the Fort universe, but I just haven't had or seen a cart design I like right now. I would, I mean, if somebody said you can have heat, I'd be like, okay, let's do it that way. But heat's heat, so I'm not like really clamoring for that.
Hmm.
But would you like to draw a heat board, Kyle, and heat characters?
Uh, maybe. I would be honestly a little worried about my ability to put my work next to Vincent Dutre's.
Detroit.
Because
I guess that's what I'm asking you to do, right?
he is one of my favorite working artists, and I you know what we're doing is very different for one thing,
Mhm.
but I like you know the traditional feel of what he does. Like you can see you know colored
Yeah,
pencil like hatch marks and things. So that's one of the reasons
I
that I
love
like
your
his
art,
work.
Kyle. But when I look at Detroit, I feel like heat. I feel like I'm there. It's so
He just
uncanny.
he knows what he's doing on such a level that I mean, and his work is instantly recognizable too. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
so I just
Even
got
art project,
even what?
art project, the art
Mm.
project which you worked on. I didn't know he was doing all those portraits for Pathfinder too. Anyway, what did you just get?
Oh, I just got the Lord of the Rings duel game that he did the art for.
Mm,
I had my finger on the button of like, should I get it? And then I saw that Shut Up and Sit Down did a video, and I was like, I'm just gonna buy it real quick before that deluge happens. And it
Mm.
was a smart thing to do.
So there was a because there was a duel game, which is like
It's
Seven
Seven
Wonders Duel.
Wonders Duel. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And then they're also making a there's another crossover, right?
I don't know. And
Coming
and
up for Lord.
and I'm kind of
That
a
looks really all. The art looks awesome for it.
I'm kind of a theme snob, I feel like, with a lot of board games where it's like
Mm,
if the theme doesn't grab me, like I can hear like, oh, that game is really fun or really good, and like I will play it, but then I feel like sometimes it has to fight against the theme for me, and so sometimes if I just think the theme sounds boring, then it
yeah.
doesn't grab my attention. And so like Seven Wonders is a game I've never actively sought out because just like it doesn't sound that interesting
Mm,
to me. But the Lord of the Rings theme is more my speed. Um, and then, but I can say that about a lot of things. I I lived,
I mean, that's fair.
I lived around like Birmingham, and I think Brass Birmingham, the thing that would get me to play it is like, oh, I know that city, or oh, I know that place. Um, but I still actively have not actively sought that one out either because it's just like, meh, like moving beer around on trains doesn't like there. That's not the hook for me. And I'd probably play it and love
Yeah.
it, but I have not sought it out for that reason. So this is
I'm going insane trying to think of that Lord of the Rings game.
well, Magic the Gathering just did all their Lord of the
Uh,
Rings stuff, but theirs is like a totally different
yeah.
take on the art and everything. But
Yeah.
but
Mm-hmm.
I need to move my
All
keyboard
right.
so you can
So
see
for
what I'm doing.
crossover, got that. When you released all the Root expansions, would you do a T-shirt, other merch with every faction represented?
Oh, maybe that'd be fun.
That- That'd be fun. Yeah.
The
Way to
T-shirts are
do
one
it
of
though is
those,
just
yeah, like a big just mosh pit of animals fighting.
yeah.
Yep. When we first did a release for Root, we made T-shirts, and I kind of made that square T-shirt design that was 5-color printing job, and we were like, okay, we'll do these for the staff, but 5 colors is kind of a lot for screen printing. Uh, so we'll just do like a 2-color print that we can sell later on. But then everybody
Mm,
wanted the 5-color, 5-color one when they saw it. They're like, "Can we have that one?" Like, no, we don't have that. So we've had to find other avenues for printing some of those things. So I'm trying to think of how I would
mm,
handle like every animal, every faction. It would have to be more color simplified than having to represent all the different faction colors.
mhm,
But
mhm.
I think that's a fun idea, though.
Mhm. All right, I'm still researching this game that maybe I just dreamt up. It was really cool, let me tell you.
Google
Like
AI
way
hallucinated
better
an entire
than
Lord of the Rings game.
yeah. Really cool art. You were there. Very funny. I just can't imagine. Memory's a tricky thing. Okay. Shirt. I would buy an F Your Apples t-shirt. Brandy got me a shirt last night with the possum on it that says, first of all, I'm a delight. Uh,
I always see this one
more
advertised to me on Pinterest of a picture of a raccoon with a cowboy hat on that says, "Lots of rootin', a little tootin'." I think that's a good one too. All right, I'm gonna go back with my
Kyle,
pen.
any thoughts? I know the answer to this one. Any thoughts on Gendy? I don't even have to say the last name, you know.
Tartarovsky, the only Gendy I
Yeah.
know. know
Yeah.
about? What does it say?
The just what are your thoughts on Andy?
Um, I think Samurai Jack is amazing. I thought Primal was amazing, but tripped the finish line. I feel like the ending, it did one of those things where it's like Game of Thrones, where the way they summed it up retroactively kind of ruined a bunch of what happened before. So I
Sure,
really like
sure.
Primal. There's a few episodes like the ones where he fights all the apes and he sort of turns into like the Hulk essentially. Is I think one of the most well done adult animations ever. I just think
Hmm.
it's awesome. Um, I think surprisingly, because it's Halloween time, I'll say that the Hotel Transylvania movies that he spearheaded with Adam Sandler are some of like the funniest animation that's been put in
Hmm.
movies in a long time. Like, it's not just like not to disparage other things, but if you watch something like Frozen 2, like you're getting like on model like sculpts of everybody. There's an expectation of how that's supposed to look. And what the Hotel Transylvania movies do in terms of like facial expressions and body movements and sort of visual gags with like it's like they're working with 2D art, but they do it in 3D, and
Hmm.
I think that they're actually pretty great for that. So I don't know if critically or anything I can say that they're like the best movies ever, but I think the visual aspect of those are awesome. I love those ones. So
I'll allow it.
big fan of Gendy in that
Hmm.
in that capacity too. All right, we are at a stage where I am going to scan this, and then we can go to the coloring stuff. Oh, look, and we're
That's
about.
it. We can't hear Kyle's scanner on the microphone, so I will make timing notes for it.
You
But
might be
yeah,
able to. Maybe I'll hold my microphone next to it.
guess Kyle did it.
Yeah,
Got nothing to do.
big shout out to my heavy book. I've shown this on stream before. This is the heavy book. It is small enough to fit on top of my sketchbook and hold it flat against the scanning bed because the rings on my sketchbook make it so I can't close the scanning bed lid. So, big shout out to heavy book. And I'm going to change this to just my
Somebody
screen.
asked me if that's my creative process. Sorry, I didn't catch that in time. I don't know what you're referring to.
This is my creative process. Overview scan.
Book of Nerds just rated with 14 folks. Thank you, whoever. Oh, and can I ask if this paper you're using is a normal or very specific paper?
This is a specific paper, and I'll show you this because I recently had to deal with this in a purchase. So this is the sketchbook that I've used for years. I have like 20 of these that are full of things in my house at one point or another. And when I went to go buy more of them, because I was getting to the end of my sketchbook just recently, they don't sell it anymore. And I had to do some research on like what the company was called, or what it is. Because the reason I like this paper so much is two reasons. One is that the paper texture is really nice for doing line work on. It's very crisp on it, and it doesn't have a ton of ink bleed, but enough that it's like you can still tell it's traditional art. And then the other reason I really like this sketchbook is because I use these brush pens a lot, um, just Pentel brush pens, and they dry quickly on this paper, but on other types of paper, if they're not porous enough, they will stay wet too long, and then I'll rub my hand over the top of it to brush away some lint or a beard hair, heaven forbid, something like that, and it'll wipe the wet ink, and then I cry. So I had to find this kind of paper again, or something akin to it, and this is the same company. It's Pro Art, And I literally think this is the same paper. It's just a different cover on it. Like they felt like this scribble of the mountains on the front was not up to par anymore. So it is acid free, lightweight paper, medium surface, dry media, wire bound, made in Malaysia. I don't know. I just need a sketchbook that is big enough, like not a little one. I need it to be like 8.5 by 11, so I can draw to the scale I like, and so it'll fit on my scanner bed. And I need it to have those qualities for using the ink on it. Otherwise, all of it would look different. So hopefully that answers your question. It is Pro Art Premier, acid-free, lightweight paper. I don't know.
I have a question for you, Kyle. I have two questions for you.
Okay. Let me
Are
have
you
it.
using a company card when you make these purchases?
For the first time ever, I did.
Okay, good. Thank you. Now I can sleep better tonight.
Okay, I'm glad.
How am I hitting a summer green for my hedge maze I've been working on? I'm painting the miniatures, and I did a test, and I cannot get the green. Looks too dark.
The green looks too dark. Is it like a
Yeah,
blue green or a yellow green?
it's well, I want like summer leaves to me is yellow green. So how do I hit the? How am
Yeah, I'd
someone
say
just
just
told me I'd paint it. I'd paint it yellow and ink it green. So just not a bad idea. Maybe I'll try
yeah.
that.
I've done that before, where I've done like the airbrush with the yellow to white, and then go back over with the glaze, the green glaze, to make
Mhm.
it that really bright
Mhm.
green instead of using green paint.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
one of the
I
other
gotta try.
things,
Yeah. Otherwise, it's like.
one of the other things you can try is that if you need to add blue, use cyan
Mhm.
instead, because cyan and yellow make green. Blue and yellow
What?
do not.
I the other problem I'm having too is I'm doing the color test, so I'm not working on it in parallel enough to like have things get dry. So things are just getting muddy. So I need to slow down. But
Yeah.
because I want to do one first to get the technique right.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to just do the base coat, let it dry, do the highlight, let it dry, do the shadow, let it dry. So all right, back to work. I'm done derailing.
These are important questions. So somebody
Uh,
asked,
what is your favorite root faction to draw for?
um, I mean, right now it's probably skunks because that's the one that I've been working on most recently. Um,
Mhm.
drawing a lot of mice and foxes and bunnies for the card art is always fun for me too. I know they're not like factions the same way, but like Woodland Alliance type stuff. I like drawing those a lot too. I feel like I draw a lot of rabbits and cats for my kids too. So somebody asked, I saw just barely, maybe you're getting to that. It said, do you ever try using like a drawing tablet? Um, I
I
use
was
it.
skipping it to be honest. But go
Okay,
ahead.
I do it. I do a drawing tablet for the coloring, uh, but not the paper, and but not for the line work. I mean, and the reason is that it just looks different. It just looks like a different person did it. I don't know. There's like a smooth
Yeah.
quality to it that I haven't been able to simulate happily. And I've just done so much pencil and ink drawings for so long that don't really, I don't know. I don't feel like I'm really saving any time by using digital tools. I feel like I would control Z a lot more, and I can't be doing
Mm.
that. I got to commit to what I'm working on and do it that way. So, um,
If you watch the Penny Arcade guy draw a comic live on stage, it's like line control Z, line control Z, line control Z, line control Z, and then it'd be like, okay, that's the one. It's like
yeah,
it works for him.
I would
Yeah.
go insane. It does, yeah, it definitely works. But I've seen other people who draw digitally who do that too, and it's like I I can't do that. I got to commit to what I've done, and I feel like my style and really everybody's style is a combination of their the things they're good at and their limitations. And
Hmm.
if I were to draw things digitally, I would be like trying to affect those limitations so much. And I think that's what starts to make it look like I didn't do it, you know, like it's a different version of me. All right, I'm going to do something here where I'm going to mess with the composition a little bit. That way, when I get it to the card art, I can move the trees around if I need to. So I can get a crop that I like. There we go.
Sorry, I got distracted by Kickstarter comments.
We love them.
Kyle does not currently do commissions, I believe.
Yeah, I am. Leader Games keeps me
His
busy.
boss is here right now.
Yeah. Well, and if it's, you know, if I'm doing something like for my dad or something, then that's different. Yeah. But Leader Games keeps me plenty busy. All right.
And well fed.
And well fed, clearly.
I got all the children to feed.
And they don't like anything. All right, so I'm just going to color block this a solid color so I can kind of take it from there. But
okay, are you ready for 2 cute kid stories, Kyle?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. 2 stories or 2 kids?
So it's two stories.
Okay.
I walked in the day after the day the campaign started, and Sebastian said, "How are you doing?" And I said, "We made $800,000 today." And it's like, "Wow, that's a lot." Yep. And they said, "Did you make any quarters?" And I said, "No, we didn't make any quarters today.
We only accept
Or
full
we made 3 million quarters, depending on." Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's really funny.
And then he said, "Well, you didn't make that much then." And then yesterday was my anniversary, Franny and I.
Congrats.
And he said, I was like, "Yeah, 13 years ago I married Mom." And he was just looked at me and he was like, "Why?"
All right. Somebody asked a little while ago for the root color palette. Yep. There it is. Up here in the corner. That's what I use for coloring most of root. I also incorporate I incorporate a few things, but mostly like if there's a meeple color that's really prominent, then I'll add that too. But
I'm gonna do all the 1st generation art for Opus, and then you can come do the 2nd and 3rd generation. But you're gonna walk me through this process because I've done this, but you do it so much faster than me.
I've done it a few times. I know, and I should have been walking through what I've done. I think I've done that. I've done it before it's really on streams. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep it moving. So I kind of want this to be like a twilight sky. So right now I'm creating a gradient that I feel like will communicate that maybe. So in root there's no true like purple color, and there's also no real red color. The red is kind of an orange, and the purple is just sort of like this washed out color. It's more like a peach. I'm gonna do this. So this will be wrong way. There we go. So get it kind of like this, and then I'm gonna do the same thing on this layer, but just no. Hey, I'm gonna leave it like that for now. Okay, and then I'm gonna color these guys. Wait, no purple except crows. Yeah, the crow's meeple is purple, but like this color right here in the middle is the purple on like, yeah, on the crow's outfits and stuff, unless I've actually sampled their meeple color, in which case that's the purple. So the meeples kind of have to come separately from all of the art in terms of the color, just because they need to stand out from each other and they need to look good on the board. I remember the first time I saw, see, here's the tablet. The first time I saw, it was like product photography where they had the crows and the crows and the moles and some of the other meeples, and they were set up on the lake board. And I saw the picture, and I was like, okay, they look good together. We're getting to the point now where we gotta be a little bit more careful with what colors we're using on everything, because we're running out a little bit. When we decided that we were going to do frogs, I had to have a frank conversation with myself that the green couldn't be like what most people think of with frog green, because the Woodland Alliance is already that green. And we couldn't go too yellow, or it would start to look like the Lizard Cult, which is kind of a tennis ball yellow, tennis ball green. So they're kind of a dark yellow green. That's what they ended up being. And then I'm taking in those colors into consideration when I'm coloring the maps, to think, what would they look good on? What do they pop on top of? But
Do you hear my clicky keyboard, or is Discord filtering it?
must be filtering it. I don't hear your clicky keyboard.
Yeah. I got a new keyboard. Best money I've ever spent in my life.
That's a heck
That
of
fire extinguisher that saved my life, garbage.
That's a heck of an endorsement.
Yeah, I spent a lot of money. Someone has spent a lot of money in their life.
I've been using a flat Mac keyboard for so long that it's broken me to using correct keyboards.
This keyboard, in fact, the configuration of the box is for Apple. I'll send you one of these. You'll love it. And if you don't
tell
dead
me.
To me.
Yeah. All right. So the reason I can color and not go outside of the lines is because I've just locked this layer on its own thing.
But in fact, he is going out of the lines. So you just don't see it.
I'm going over here, but it doesn't color on it. So there you go.
Can you make that layer invisible for a moment?
This one?
Masking one? Yeah. So we can see how much you went out.
No, because this is just a quick mask. So it's just this button right here.
Sure.
It's hidden underneath my picture on the stream. But it's the one that's the Purina Dog Chow logo. Or the airlock logo from Alien, I think it's the same. It's like 5 square pips. So you don't want to get those mixed up.
How do you decide what these little guys are wearing?
I feel like the default to sort of make them look like fantasy medieval is to just start with tunics and then go from there in terms of, like, if I need them to have arms that stick out, or like with the bats, having kind of like drapey clothes because their arms go all the way down to their waists. Like, they don't have armpits, they have webbing. So keeping them in sort of like cloaks is important. Or, whether they need to be wearing shoes or not, because birds' feet is a pretty important way to communicate that they are birds, because it's just kind of a unique thing compared to other aminals. And then the other thing is, like, I try and keep the colors pretty muted for the most part, unless something needs to stand out a lot. So, like, that green is probably a little strong for what I need it to be, because I'd rather keep the emphasis up by the head. So I'm going to mute that a little bit, and then I'll get, something contrasting for this messenger bag. So I might just do a straight up blue. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes they're wearing armor, so they have like shoulder pads or, gauntlets on wrists or things like that. For the most part, I try and stick with like things like tunics, cloaks that go up around the neck, scarves, and things that will help me communicate the body shape, but also still make them look short and
Hmm.
kind of squat. I think I've mentioned before, like sometimes I see really good root fan art, but they're all way too tall. It's like, nope, root animals are short and fat for the most part. It's like, if you're going to go against that, it has to be really intentional. Uh, so, like, if it's a weasel or something like that, then yeah, make them skinny looking. But,
Yeah.
all right.
When
So
are we
there's.
working on our root?
Hmm?
When are we working on our root skirmish war game?
Whenever you say,
No, we got armor.
you're the boss.
All right. I'm there. Oh yeah, that's true. I am.
we
Dang
have
it!
we have
I
to
forgot.
confront some of those difficult questions, like where does leather come from in the root in
Yeah.
the root
Oh
universe?
no.
It's a plant.
There's a leather tree.
I
Stop
assure
asking me.
I
Yeah.
assure you.
I actually really like the idea of this disturbing plant that produces melons that are like, like you can eat the inside, but the skin is like a football.
You like that? I just like
I
thinking
do. I
about
do.
that
That's
sometimes. It's funny.
yeah. I'm into that. Uh, uh would you remake the color choices if you knew how many factions there were going to be? For the faction, I
Mm,
assume for the meeples.
no, because I feel like uh, the base four are the same. They're like the same colors as like Catan pieces in their base game, aren't they? There's orange, green. Well, I guess they do. Well, do they do
Mm.
black or white? I can't remember. I have
But
all of
having
my
the people be different colors is so important to me.
having the what be different colors.
The peoples, the mice and the
Oh yeah,
bunnies and the foxes, yeah,
yeah,
foxes.
yeah. I think I'm happy with how all the meeple stuff has turned out. I think, um, I don't know. I might go a little bit more of a no, because even then I was gonna say I might change the otters to be more like of a greeny teal instead of the bluey teal that they are now. But then they would just be running into all the greens. So I think I'm pretty happy with
Right.
how they've all turned out. I wish earlier on that we had experimented more with different colors of screen prints on top of the meeples, because
Mm.
they're all black on color or they're white on black, and it's only in like the vagabond meeples that we started to be like, oh, this one is yellow on brown or this one is blue on white, and I wish we would have done more of that sooner, but I didn't. I mean, we kind of got the ball rolling on the faces meeples, and so that was new and something I considered being able to do at the time. So, but we're utilizing more and more of that now. Like all of the Ahoy upgraded pieces and all the Ahoy expansion meeples have colored screen prints on them, unless they're white like the
Thanks for,
orcas. And I just think it looks
thanks for
really
the
cool.
raid, Board Game Geek TV.
Hello and welcome. Hail and well met.
Uh, could you? Okay. Oh, sorry. Go back. Do you have a favorite Vagabond design? Are you talking
Um,
character design or game design?
or game design. Um,
Let's go with character design.
Favorite vagabond character design. I mean, am I allowed to spoil Leader Games Media? Am I allowed to spoil one of the vagabonds that we're working on? Because the most recent one that I've
Yeah,
drawn,
Leader Games Media's watching.
we're flying off the handle. Okay, don't quote me on this because something might change. But I'm gonna do a quick reveal of one of the vagabonds that we're working on. Let me get the right.
All right. All right. Matt said go for it.
Okay.
No, the person above Matt said go for it.
Okay.
Matt said La Lobo.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
So this is a goose vagabond. and it has a big ol' axe, and I don't know what that's gonna do mechanically. That is not my problem. But there you go. That's my favorite Vagabond so far. I don't know what it does mechanically, but there you have it. You
Canada's entered the chat.
you heard it here, folks. Okay, if I wasn't supposed to show that, pretend you never saw it.
I mean, I have saying who gets fired, and it's all good.
I just don't want to make marketing mad because marketing does all the things I don't want to do. So they're my best friends.
Someone's pounding on my door. I don't know what that is. It's all good.
Stop him. Yeah, if there's not.
Man, time to get community managing. Uh-uh.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, all right, let's go. Let's scroll back up a little bit. The goose caused a lot of chat, so sorry if I missed your question. Can you draw the marquise or other? Oh, sorry. Maybe I missed you mentioning this. Josh Acosta, MD, asked. Maybe I missed you mentioning this. What program are you using? This is Photoshop from Adobe,
Yeah, this is
as
Photoshop.
far as I can tell. Yeah.
Yep, it's Photoshop.
Uh, I mean, the fact that you can do all this with Photoshop blows my mind, but that's all right. This is what I would use too if I were doing your job, but it is still blows my
It
mind.
is funny that I'm the illustrator and I spend most of the time in Photoshop and not Illustrator, but
I mean, really, Illustrator is not like
Illustrator is for graphic design.
yeah. So it should be called graphic design.
Yeah.
Photoshop should be called Illustrator.
Yep. Okay, so now I'm going to go back on the line art layer and do some of the highlighting work. So.
All right. All right. Can I see the marquise or the root critters in Ark's gear? I mean, Cal can do that.
The arcs critters.
Yeah. No, the root critters in Ark's gear.
Oh, okay. Like spacefaring root peoples.
Yeah.
I'd be,
Space.
I'd be,
The Meowdakar. I've made several jokes about.
I'd be too worried that people would then want to reskin Arcs, a game that I care deeply about making look the way I wanted it to.
All right. I'm gonna just block out that I read this comment about leather and move on.
Okay, I'll pretend that pretend I do not see it.
Oh, the moderator hit Mellow Jacket. That was funny. What's your favorite game to illustrate?
My favorite game to illustrate?
Mhm.
Right
By the way, the Discord is going wild.
right now, my favorite thing to illustrate is probably Oath because I mean this is sort of like I've been doing a lot of root things, but I've also been doing a lot of Oath expansion things, and so I've been going back and forth a little bit. And Oath has such like thematic room for just kind of like drawing whatever I want. Root I feel like has to look a certain way, which is not bad because I established why it looks that way. But like in Oath, if I want to just draw like a monster waving two trees around, because one of the cards in the Oath expansion is called Signal Trees, and so it's supposed to represent like trees that can signal to each other. But instead, I drew just like this Cyclops that's like using two trees, like he's waving in a plane or something. And it's like no other game allows me to do just kind of bizarre things like that. So probably Oath is my favorite to draw for right now. But I'm going to bring down some of this color so it's not so blown out with that gradient.
I wasn't gonna back the root expansion, but now that I know about the goose.
That's my goal. That's what Ted came virtually. Our accountant came virtually through Slack today and grabbed me by the lapels and said, "Kyle, we didn't meet our weekend goal, our secret weekend goal. See what you can do to bump the numbers." And through my tears,
Oh
I
yeah, I
choked.
said I was gonna promise everyone a puppy
Yeah,
on
and
the
through my
stream.
tears, I choked. Ted, I'll do what I can.
Through your tears.
All right, so I'm gonna take off that. I'm gonna go
If
on
money
this
and
thing.
time were no object, what would your dream project be? For illustration.
I don't know. My what's that meme where it's like, what's your dream job? And he says, "Comrade, I do not dream of labor." when
I've been
uh
running every day
yeah.
for a month, and I took 2 days off this weekend,
Hmm.
and I dreamt about running.
Yeah, I
So little
if
brain.
money and time were no object, what would my dream project be? I say this because it's come up like before, is that when Board Game Geek did a like an artist series of like posters where you could work on different things, and they've done a few of them. And one of the ones that I got to work on was for Dominion, and Dominion was one of my first like really like big intros into the modern hobby, and I still really like Dominion. And when I released that poster, a few people were like, "Man, I wish I could just get a copy of Dominion where you drew all the art for it." And so I've thought of that a few times where it's like, legally there'd be no way for me to, to do that. But if money, if time, if all those things were no option, it would be fun to like sort of take some of the games that I really like that I feel like are visually not what I would want, and do my own take on them. So like some of the other things, maybe like Galaxy Trucker is another game that I really like that I think visually is visually doesn't communicate how funny or like my appeal to the game. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna do on this is I'm gonna drop a layer on it. Oh, and this is the wrong layer right now. This is sort of like a watercolor wash that I've made. That's a neutral, kind of 50% gray, and I'm gonna set that to overlay. And all that does is it sort of finishes the piece for me in all the places where like the really digital, like gradient or really digital brush things are next to each other. Um, and this just helps me kind of finish it off so it looks more traditional and textured for the card. And some of these things will get shrunken down. Well, the whole card will be shrunken down. So that's it. So ta-da!
But you got that in an hour pretty well.
Yep. And sometimes I would take longer than
Um,
that, but this is
yeah,
for the stream. There you go.
for the stream.
This is Messenger Bats. There you go. Any other things we want to get to before I'm done?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I think we're gonna have to face sort of tribunal at this point.
Okay. Help hit me up on the socials or whatever if you have questions. And yeah.
And
Thank
back
you.
our project.
Back our project. Back Kickstarter. Homeland expansion.
You know,
Appreciate all of you. Thanks for dropping by. Thanks for the raid. And talk to you later. Bye.
raids. Thanks. Bye.